Oh my. Well, would you look at that? We got a little surprise over there. Will that be enough? No. Well, no. Now that's enough. You're trash, bro. That's one. Oh, that's it? Nothing else? Oh. Well, we got an ominous bottle now. That's pretty cool, I guess. And I made myself some armor, I guess. Which is cool. But really, your best armor is cooked salmon. All right, well, welcome back. We have just killed uh some ominous homies, illagers. It's a lot of dirt. It's probably because I'm terraforming and flattening out this whole area. Um, Speaking of which, I need to plant trees. So last time we talked a lot about religion and my religious beliefs. Today we're gonna dive into way more controversial territory, and that is the topic of politics. Now, this is in a American lens. So if you're like not an American, you're not gonna understand. You're not gonna get it, bro. I mean, maybe if you're in the UK, you might kind of get it, but so here in American politics, we very simply got the Democrats and the Republicans. And they're basically both, well, subpar. Let's be honest. They're constantly making extremely disastrous mistakes that cost people their lives and their livelihood. And they really don't get punished enough for that. Like, why do we keep re-electing the same people who keep screwing people over? Like, why? So I mentioned before, I'm a bit conservative, right? But I don't really like the Republican Party. I think the Republican Party is an utter failure and a disgrace to its roots and its origins in the Civil War. Technically pre-Civil War. The GOP, if I remember correctly, is technically founded as a coalition between Republicans, anti-slave or Democrats, and so like Whigs. So we got Whig Republicans, anti-slave Democrats, like in the North specifically, and like a bunch of different other groups, like the Free Planters, I believe they were called, the Free Soil Movement. That's what they were, the Free Soil Movement, which was anti-slavery, not because any real moral reason, but because of an economic reason, which is they were like, what do you call that? Racism light. They were basically saying, we don't want slavery because they take our jobs, which, you know, is a fair enough assessment. I mean, that's quite literally what slaves are there to do, is to be literally the cheapest possible labor. That is the whole point of slavery. It is an institution that actually oppresses the lower class of all people, even the non-slaves oppressed by slavery. That is how abominable of an institution that slavery is that it is so bad, it affects non-slaves and destroys the lives of non-slaves. There are very few institutions that do something like that. But the Democrat Party isn't exactly better. The Democrat Party is an old party. They are kind of ancient at this point as a political party, and honestly, their policies show why. They're literally the, like, that meme where you know the one, like, with the guy in the skateboard, and he looks like he's in his 80s. How do you do, fellow kids? That's literally the damn party. I'm sorry. They're so horridly out of touch. It's so bad. And all they do at this point is just stoke riots and then blame the president for it. It's like, my guy, this is literally your fault. Like, and then they love to play cover for their favorite candidate, you know? And like, and there's just so much deception. I hate that too. There's just so much lying in Democrat media that it is just, it's awful. I can't get news anymore. I just have to vaguely understand. I get my news from memes at this point. Genuinely. Like, what was I think I learned about the Maduro thing from a meme. Because I don't keep up with the news. I don't want to see all that propaganda shoved down my throat on both sides, man. Mainly the left, so let's be honest. It's just, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. So I start missing current events, which is also not particularly good. Because we're supposed to be well-informed citizenry. It's a part of our American ideals. Which, American ideals are extremely important. This is, after all, the United States of America. Not the United States of, Somalia. Oh yeah, we're bringing up immigration. Why is it so hard for people to just admit that illegal immigrants are frickin' illegal? It's not legal for them to be here. They have to follow laws. They don't just get sudden immunity from the law just because they're brown. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how that works. Like, people would be, like, having a whole riot if we gave white people that sort of, like, princess treatment that minorities get. They'd be pissed. They'd be so upset. They would not know what to do with themselves. But then they give it to minorities. I'm not saying that minorities are bad people. I'm just saying that they shouldn't come here illegally. If they were born here, if they came here legally, awesome. Awesome. Cool. Welcome to the country. But if you came here illegally, don't go kicking and screaming out the door. We already didn't want you here. Why did you make us want you here even less? Like, hello. Like, do people not understand how absurd the situation is? And then we got people, like, legitimately, like, protesting, invading churches to protest. And then claiming it's their free speech. Like, do you realize the freedom of religion is a part of the First Amendment, right? And your rights end where it violates another person's right. Your right to free speech ends at another person's right to religion, believe it or not. You see, criticizing someone's religion is one thing. You have every right to do that. You don't have a right to get a crowd of people to invade a religious institution, be it a church, a mosque, a synagogue, anything, literally like a Buddhist temple, you know? Anything. Any sort of religious building. You're not just allowed to go into any religious building and just raise hell. Our founders never wanted anything like that, and it's so incredibly clear that that's not what the Constitution tells we can do. So they've all committed a heinous crime against their fellow citizen. Like, what if we walked up and just took their freedom of speech away because we didn't like what they were saying? You know, they wouldn't be quite happy about that, and that'd be reasonable for them to be unhappy about. That would be totally reasonable. But that's the thing, is that they do have free speech. The problem is they're not using it right. There is a wrong and a right way to use your free speech. Believe it or not. And even then, we want to go down more philosophical route of politics. I think I mentioned this before. I don't think total freedom is a good thing. I think it's a terrible thing. I don't think any person should have total freedom. It's just a breeding ground for disaster. It really is. Everyone needs to be held to the extent of the law. For me, I do not want freedom without order. Because freedom without order is anarchy. And order without freedom is authoritarianism. And I don't want either of those. I want a civil, liberalized democracy. Where we control our borders. And not go and send a bunch of money to foreign wars. And we just vibe peacefully. Only really getting involved with the world to trade and to make sure that genocides aren't happening. But even then, we're pretty terrible at doing that too. We as a world, as a species, are pretty terrible at that, honestly. Let's be 100%. And it's just getting worse, you know? Everything's just getting worse. We have a pretty big elitist problem in this country. Now, a lot of people are going to wince at that. They'll be like, oh no, you believe the elites are in control? What are you? A racist? Ooh. And to that I would ask, did I mention other races? It's just pretty simple, okay? In society, there is the unspoken social contract. It's a Lockean philosophy, which is the idea that we give away certain rights to have the rest of them protected. Kind of like a trade or exchange between people and government that is often unspoken, but has some sort of document to prove the agreement's existence. For us, that is our Constitution. Our Constitution is the acknowledgement of the agreement. And it's literally just a living document. And I don't mean that in the cringe way of, oh, we can always just interpret it however we want, but living document as in its meaning will go on to modern things. Like, here's an example. The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Ooh, controversial. Yeah, I'm getting really tired of pretending the Second Amendment conversation's controversial. It really isn't. It's as simple as we're allowed to have guns, deal with it. There's not supposed to be any infringement on this right, and yet we infringe on it constantly as a government, as a people even. And that's not okay. That's really not okay. Now, before anyone gets to their keyboard and goes all keyboard warrior on me, to all three of you watching, I'm not just trying to paint out one side to be evil. I know it sounds like that. It's gonna sound like that when you call out a group that is doing something that they shouldn't be doing. It always seems targeted at first, but I mean, if they just weren't doing it, then no one would say anything. What does that say? Oh, that has the old text. Oh. When we used to get the ominous, what was it, ominous curse or something like that? When you walk into a village and raid would start. All right, all right. So we've kind of gone on a little mini rant there, which was nice. Okay, so we kind of got an establishment of beliefs a little bit there. If I were to really pin it down and kind of go through a list here, I'd say I'm pretty absolutist on the wording of the Constitution. It seems pretty clear. Some of the things it uses really old language, so it's not super clear to us. But if you just use English, language, just any understanding of the usage of English language at the time, you'll quickly realize that a lot of it is exactly how you think it is the first time you read it. Like with the right to bear arms. Separation of church and state. I believe, funny enough, I believe in separation of church and state in the sense of I believe the church, there should not be an official religion of the United States. I feel like that kind of goes against like the whole philosophy of the nation. Like, it feels like that just doesn't seem right. I mean, don't get me wrong, our early American history is full of religious persecution, funny enough, with the Puritans being, well, Puritans. But we're a land that has seen many faiths appear, right? Even within our own borders, new little sects of Christianity have spawned, right? That's very interesting. I mean, even within, like, Lutheranism, there's different conferences in America to distinguish which conference believes in what. And it's all very interesting. I only really know this because I have Lutheran friends. Lutheranism, if you ask me, is pretty based. I may not agree with all of it, but it's pretty based. I mentioned how I don't agree with, their communion, stuff like that, but I'm kind of going off of on a religious rant again. Oh my. Sorry about that. But, church and state. Church and state, yes. Separation of church and state, I believe, is fundamentally American. But I feel like the problem is we haven't separated just the church and state, we've separated God and everything. God has been removed from even the public eye. Like, it's not just a government thing, it's just, now all of a sudden you just can't talk about God in public. Because it's offensive or something, and, like, no kidding. I guess I would assume the devil will be pretty offended when we talk about how terrible the devil is and how great Jesus is. I imagine the devil will be pretty offended by that. You know what I mean? But, so we have separation of church and state, the more literalist interpretations. I just in general believe in very conservative things politically. And I mean like non-social stuff. I have a mostly conservative slant and pretty much majority vast majority, I'd say 99% of my views are right-wing. And that includes my more social beliefs. Here's when things start to get a bit of a doozy for some people here. So if you're easily offended or have left-wing views, I would suggest maybe covering your ears and going, la 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 la, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to be very happy with what I say. All right, social issues. How about I start with the one I'm the most invested in? So, who on God's green earth thought it would be okay to just start murdering babies? I'm serious. What in the world are we doing? In what universe is this okay? Like, do we really love ourselves more than we love our children? Like, is this really a thing that's happening right now? We just are so in love with ourselves that we would sacrifice our children to Moloch. You know? We would sacrifice our children on the altar of self. For a career. For money in general. Like, the people be like, I'm not financially ready. I'm like, man, congratulations. You are in the same position that the majority of human history has been on. Do you feel special for that? Because you shouldn't. You really shouldn't. You're not. You're not special. You're struggling? Congrats. Welcome to human history. It's a struggle bus. And you're never getting off. There is no conceivable reason ever to abort. That is the hot take. That is the hot take. Some people are going to be like, what about life of the mother? I said abortion. There is no abortion that saves the life of the mother. Period. What people are referring to is medical, an actual medical treatment done in a hospital, done by doctors in a hospital where they have to, unfortunately, end the unborn child's life in order to save the mother. These things happen. You know, and it's not evil. That's not evil. It's tragic. It's a tragedy. That's what it is. That's a tragedy. So life of the mother is a completely invalid argument, and then people will go to their favorite argument, the first one they always go for. All right, and you already know what this is if you talked about this topic with anyone before, especially if you are right-wing and you've talked about abortion with someone who's left-wing. What about grape and cest? I don't want to say it out loud, like actually in this video say exactly what it is because it's an extremely sensitive topic, both of them. But for the first one, you're trying to convict your unborn child of a crime they did not commit. Of a crime that someone else committed against you. That is not healing. That is not love. That is not healing. You're not going to heal from that. You're just going to mask the pain. Do not abort your children if you are a victim. Please. If it is traumatic to have them, and you just can't handle it, there are so many people Who would love nothing more than to give the rest of their lives loving your child? It would just be the best thing to them. There are people who are waiting in queues, basically, to adopt children because it's so difficult. If you don't want your child, put them up for adoption. I know, it's not a perfect system, but it is so much better than them being straight up murdered in what is supposed to be the safest place on planet Earth. Your own mother's womb. That is the safest place on planet Earth. And it pretty much the same argument goes for the other. You shouldn't charge your innocent unborn child with a crime they did not commit. Period. It goes for both of those very sensitive topics in regarding abortion. Now, if we progress from abortion to, let's call it the LGBTQIAXYZ LMNOP gang. Look, I'm a Christian. I believe that homosexuality is a sin. In fact, cross out believe, I know it's a sin. Because that's what my God tells me. He made us to be with the opposite sex, okay? It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, alright? Which I know it is so stereotypical to say that. And you've probably heard that exact expression a million times. But it's true. We were not made to be gay. I know that's so controversial these days. And I'm not even saying that there should be any government involved in that. Some people will, and I can understand why they would think that. But in a free nation, a marriage certificate isn't true marriage to begin with. So the government already has no right to declare anyone married or unmarried. That is a religious institution. Marriage is religious, deeply, within the church. Within pretty much all churches. Every religion in the world has some sort of ceremony for marriage. It has a lot of rules regarding marriage and what to do, and you usually find monogamy enforced. And you might be thinking, oh, that's because of the patriarchy, and I'm like, have you seen men in the patriarchy? They are not staying very monogamous themselves. They are with concubines and of the sort, and forcing their wives to be monogamous. Monogamy actually benefits women more. Hear me out. Men desire access to women, right? But who holds the keys? Women. Men can't have women if women say no, right? So in the end, they're the deciders. They're the ones who get to say yes or no to advances. This gives women an immense amount of protection and power in society. It is very important that women have the power to reject, and that they use this power strategically. It is to keep men monogamous, keep us civilized. Women are what keep men in line, basically. And I know it's a weird thing to say. People are going to be like, James, what are you talking about? Isn't that a bit, like, sexist? You know, why can't women just go around and have as many partners as they want? Well, because, well, let's just say the type of people who go around and just do the deed with anybody, anything that moves, aren't exactly virtuous people. I know. Shocker. You're so shocked, I know. So it's kind of just one of those situations where I don't really know why we're defending promiscuous people. There is no reason to defend them. They are ruining their lives and the lives of people around them, especially if they, because a lot of these sort of promiscuous people often cheat. And I am heavily, this is an awfully familiar location. Not just because I've been here before, but because like it looks like a part of a world I've been in before. But I believe quite thoroughly that cheating is a form of domestic abuse. I mean, it doesn't take much thought to come to that conclusion, really. I mean, if you've met people who have been cheated on, they just get so often they get so thoroughly destroyed by it. It is awful, the effects that cheating has. And it's even worse in marriages. The sort of trauma it has on the partner and then on any kids you have. My father cheated on my mother. To say I have a strained relationship with my father would be an understatement. And it is because of the legacy of that cheating. You know, as a child, you feel abandoned. And when you grow up and start understanding, then you start being like, I can't believe my dad abandoned me to get some. You know what I mean? Like, there's something insulting about it. Also, there's a mesa right here. That is extremely fortunate. Holy moly. And some sugarcane. Wow. But, you know, there's something extremely insulting about when you are a child and as you grow up and you learn, and you understand more about one of your parents' infidelity towards the other parent. And it makes it start feeling so much more personal, too. Like, it almost feels like a slight against you specifically, even though my dad cheated on my mom. It almost kind of feels like he cheated on me, too. You know what I mean? Like, I was not just a mere observer. I was active. You know, I am not just some random guy on the side. Like, the man's my father, you know? So what he does, and what he does to my mom, affects me. There's a homeboy somewhere. But, you know, all these things, they affect you. They affect me. And we often get that kind of mixed up. We start thinking cheating is, you know, X, Y, and Z, and we start forgetting about what makes humanity humanity very quickly. And I believe staying human is an extremely important thing to do in modern society. It is so easy to lose touch with your humanity these days. Come on. And this is a side rant. I'm just realizing that. This is a side rant, and I've gone over my time because I wanted to get more copper. I just heard my phone go off. Is that a sign? Alright. Oh. Not the canyon of instant death. That's crazy looking. I like this cave a lot. This cave's nice. Leaf litter. The only proper way to mark a good cave is by building a giant pillar of dirt and then putting at least one torch on it. Usually you want to put 5 torches, one on top and then one on each side. But I kind of jumped off before I could do that, so we're just gonna ignore that. But yes. Oh man, now that I think about it, I don't even remember where that side ramp came from, so I can't even tie it back. No, I can't create a smooth tie back. No. Oh man. Maybe you know what? I'll make this a double episode. How about that? Um, I'm gonna stop recording and then immediately start a new recording so that I can have it in different parts. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. All right. I will see you in the second part.